Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Insta 2020. Can you all hear me? Hello. Hi, Sylvia. Hello. So, today I'm going to have someone very special on the call, Miss Richa Anand. And I think she is almost here to join. Hi, Madhuri. So September was the World Nutrition Month, and Ms. Richa Anand is a full-time dietitian and a consultant with Dr. L. H. Chirandani Hospital for the last 16 years, and she has agreed to come on the call to help us talk a few myths, and in fact battle and bash a few myths around food. And yeah, just we'll pick up a few questions for her, and we hope that she's going to help answer us a few of those, and of course bring up to in the conversation a few of the things that she thinks are very important for us to talk about. So I'm going to just get her on the call. Dr. Richa, can you see me? Can you send me a request to join, please? So I can see the... Yes, you'll have to send me a request. Right. So I have added her. Hello, Richa.
Hi, Pallavi.
Hi, how are you? Welcome on the call.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely, an absolute pleasure. In fact, we just had a little chat this morning, and it almost feels like I'm continuing from there with you. So it's a pleasure to have you here. First time on Insta 2020. I was just giving everyone a little dope on you. You've been doing what you are for more than 20 years now. Wow. And with Dr. L. H. Chirandani Hospital for 16 years and counting.
Absolutely.
Yes. And before this, you were with Breach Candy, Hinduja, Jaslok, and the work. So you've done your rounds. And of course, I know that you write for a lot of magazines and you're well followed. So I think without much ado, we should jump right into our conversation. Tell us a little bit about why we are here. The reason I've spoken about it, but I think no one better than you.
So, actually, September is the National Nutrition Month and it's celebrated globally. So, all over the world, September is the month, where we emphasize the importance of nutrition. And the theme for this year is, starting early. So, the very foundation has to be. So, feeding smart right from the start. So, it's not when, we are my age or and it's never too late, agreed. But you need to start looking at right from the time that you're conceived. So for a pregnant woman, then a child who's weaning, an infant, a baby, a toddler, an adolescent, an adult, and every stage that you're in, keynote is that you need to eat right for that stage of life. So at no point in your life can we say that, oh, you're too young to be eating right or you're too old to be eating right. It's not about that. It Every age needs the right amount of nutrition, and there's so much of WhatsApp messages, false rumors, and they sometimes believe the gossip auntie more than they believe a credible nutritionist.
I think always, right? Always.
So even your own mother will sometimes say, this one told me that. I'm glad she at least takes it past me before she actually gets down to believing it.
Oh, and the
But I don't know.
shahad and the honey stories, right?
So
थोड़ा सा
many,
पानी पिला दो.
so many of them. We all have our own stories, our own grandmoms and our own friends and everything. So sometimes there may be a little bit of truth to it, but there's a lot of false information where diet is concerned. So hopefully, since the idea is for everyone to have a clear understanding of nutrition, that today we can, set aside some myths, burst them, and state out the facts straight.
I would love to, because I think for all those who have known me personally, I have been on all sides. I've always loved food. That still remains. But I've seen I've always had a good journey with good relation with food, but I've seen how we can change things and change ourselves and who we are. And now I see as a mother, I'm more conscious. I made sure my son does not put on weight in the lockdown. Come what may, chini is not good. I mean, of course, a cupcake here and there and ice cream here and there, fine. But when some people start saying कि चीनी बच्चों के लिए चीनी चलता है, I know it is not okay. I mean, it doesn't work like that. Am I wrong?
True, true. So, one important thing is, you inculcate a habit in the childhood. While I would not say totally no to chini, but you can't let a child binge. You have to teach him while he's young to refuse it on his own. That yes, it's made at home. And sometimes, like Pallavi, as a child, do you remember not eating chole bhature or puri aloo, or mom not? Today's kids, so there's extremists. There are kids who will not touch it even if it's made at home, because there's so much they hear about the mother talking about diet all the time, and this is good, this is bad. I think the most important thing is moderation. The way we do it, the kids also need to do it, so they can also have shakkar in something. It's all right, a little homemade dessert or homemade kheer is a good idea. But yes, the child should not be drinking aerated beverages. He shouldn't be sipping on a cola each time. He shouldn't be ordering in donuts and pastries every now and then. So you have to, it's not the sugar per se, but sometimes the food that sugar enters. So the maida in the donut is way worse than the sugar itself. But a homemade kheer is giving the child maybe some rice or some ragi or sevia with some milk, which is protein. So that's all right. Balance it out. Don't go to any one side of all or none.
Absolutely.
So if you do it in, but yes, don't overindulge your kids, because in your first formative years is where your body determines the number of fat cells that you're going to have even as you age. So your number of cells is determined then, and then they only expand. So as a child, if you keep increasing the number, even if they're very small, eventually you're going to be a big person. So control it. Cholesterol buildup doesn't start at a later age. Even young kids can have a high cholesterol if they're doing a lot of junk food, if they're doing a lot of fried food, things like that. So you have to start young. Absolutely.
Very interesting, because yesterday, we had Dr. Ganesh on the chat, and he said the same thing. He said, it begins from very early on. And especially now that we have, a different lifestyle, we live differently than we did when we were kids. We play lesser. Our kids play, they have lesser areas to run in, and, they have more security issues, and there's pollution, the air we breathe. So there is even more onus on the food we put in our body, right? And that, I think, makes it, maybe our parents didn't talk about diets the way we did, or the way we do. And I think that's the need of the hour as well, because if we don't, then we're not going to make it. Because everything else around is so synthetic that we have to at some point bring that synthetic in. And when we do that, we should do it the right way, don't you think? I mean, following everybody on the internet cannot work for us.
So the sad part is, the reason we didn't have to talk about it in the past is because we were left with home cooked meals. So it was all right to be eating all of that. The major issue that we have nowadays is that people are eating more packed and preserved food. And a very simple funda that 99% works in all cases: if it comes out of a packet, it's bad. If it's processed, if it's sealed, if it's packed, whatever be it, even if it's a ketchup, even if it's a biscuit, or it's anything, even your chips. I'm not even going till the chips. So the minute you're cutting open a pack to consume it, it is not the best. So the more processed and packed a food is, the less vitamins and nutrients it contains. So the orange, for example, is best consumed as an orange. And then you're like, no, I'm just squeezing a juice, I'm not adding any sugar. You've still destroyed it. And then you take
I want to talk about juices and fruits. Please help me, because this makes me crazy, because I know that what happens to fruit when you break it down, but most people around think it's the same thing. In fact, you have 5 oranges in a glass, and यहाँ पे एक ही orange खा सकते हो एक बार में. So can you please talk about that?
For example, can you have an orange right now? One orange. Can you have an orange right now?
Yes, I can.
Another, it's the best. It's the juiciest, the best in the world. Another?
Maybe one, but I I can't have five.
Third.
No.
But if I give you a tall glass of orange juice, you will wash it down within minutes. And maybe if you're bored after about 15-20 minutes, you will have another. Your sugar levels, even as a non-diabetic, spike. You've got absolutely no fiber from that orange because you've destroyed the mechanical fiber. Even if you've not strained it, which 99% of the times is strained, you've destroyed the mechanical fiber. It's not going to keep you full for a bit. So your satiety is not going to be there. If you eat 3 oranges, forget three. Even if you eat one orange, you're going to be full for at least an hour. But a glass of orange juice, which is pure sugar, without adding any additional sugar to it, is going to spike your sugars. It's going to get you to eat again in the next 5 or 10 minutes because it's just a fluid. You've replaced water with another sugary drink. So juices are in fact the worst. People don't realize. Even a lot of pregnant women will keep gorging, thinking that fruits are good. Yes, fruits are good. Fruits are excellent. Juices aren't, even if they are freshly squeezed at home without added sugar. As far as possible, go for a whole fruit. Don't break it up into a juice, and especially not the Tetra packs. And we give those. I give those when I want someone to gain weight. When someone whom I need to give calorie dense food, who can't eat too much, I say eat your food and wash it down with juice so that I can get more calories. But for a regular person who's walking, eating, exercising, juices can be once in a way, but not a daily regimen. It's a bad idea.
We'd agreed to not talk about fat diets, and I promise to not. But I still want you to talk about a lot of things that people keep going back to. That whatever we've eaten since bachpan is perfect for us. We need to go back to it. And then there are some people who say that, I mean, who's to say that the bachpan was it the right things we ate? Because I feel every culture, and especially in India, we saw a different food. Punjab had very heavy food because they were farmers, they were tillers, or if you see in East, or in Maharashtra, there's not more coconut. Maybe that coconut does not suit somebody else. But now with all this cosmopolitanism, we are everywhere. What do we turn to? We turn to logic, or what kind of logic? What is an underlying logic that we turn to then?
So, if you want to talk about going back to your childhood days, don't take it just in the food aspect. Take it in totality. Go back to not playing on your gadgets. Go back to playing outside. Go back to reducing your TV time. Go back to not ordering in from out. Do all of that. And then if you want to eat the butter, the coconut, the ghee, you can. Those things are good, provided you can work them out. We want to consume a lot, but we don't want to burn it out. We want to, just stick to, yeah, coconut is good. Kerala thrives on coconut. They work. They're on the coastlines. They're doing a lot of physical work. So those coconut doesn't harm them because they burn out more than we consume. Unfortunately for us, we want to say that, like I said at the start, that I don't remember my mom creating such a fuss about puri aloo or something, because we may have eaten 2, 3, 4 puris, but then we played in the garden for 5 hours. Mothers had to drag us in. So we burnt it out and we were ready for more. Now we will eat a good burger, fries, aerated beverages, all of it, sit in our cars, come home, watch TV, and we've not even burnt an iota of what we have consumed. So keeping in sync with the fact that our physical activity has gone down, you need to also take in your food accordingly. You can't say that I'm going to eat all of it, but I'm not going to burn off it. This was good for my mom. It better be good for me. Your mom did a lot more. She walked, she jogged, she did everything. She ran around doing a lot of home errands. We are just a phone call away from ordering everything at our doorstep.
Absolutely.
I mean, as kids, we went and bought veggies sometimes. I don't remember the last time doing it as an adult. So if my physical activity is only that 1 hour of walk that I do, that is not adequate for me to consume rich foods. That is just enough for me to maintain where I already stand. If I need to burn, then I need to put in more effort. So basics is good. And if you're talking specifically about wheat, yes, there is so many people going gluten-free. That's so not required. Wheat is good, but wheat is good as wheat. Wheat is not good as maida. So it is maida which is bad for you and not your ghar ka roti. So people, because we want to get you off maida, your pastries and your pizzas and your spaghettis, You think gluten is bad. It is the kind of gluten which is bad. As Indians, yes, we have thrived on yeast across. And it works provided you team it with the right meals to go with.
So any one is not your enemy. It's the ecosystem that you have to make sure works for you.
The
That's very clear. Is there a rule of thumb that you want to use for children? I'm really conscious about children because that's where as mothers we play a bigger part.
So, one, don't force your child to eat. You know, don't force him. Like, for example, even a little puppy at home will not eat when, you know, he is not well. So we don't even force our dog to eat. If he's refusing a meal, we know that his tummy is upset or something. And here, if the child is full, acha roti nahi, acha khichdi, acha dal chawal, acha something. There are times that you need to let the child be. A simple fruit or a banana once in a while is okay. We get used to overfeeding them so that they are always used to eating a little more. They don't really know about hunger. They never come to the table hungry. They come to the table because they know that this is time and they don't build an appetite.
Conditioning.
So, yes. So don't, even the ones who are very lean, get them used to a pattern, a timing. Even the ones who are, you know, there are some mothers who are very concerned about children being very, very lean. Even them, we say that don't get them into the habit of just snacking, you know, because you're so grateful that they're eating. No, make a schedule and follow the schedule. And at that particular time, if the child is hungrier than usual, let him eat a little more. And if the child for that day once is not that hungry and wants to eat maybe half or a little less than usual, it's all right. Follow a set pattern. Don't deviate.
Richa, you bring a very interesting point forward because I am a proponent of this. I have always believed, and I'm sorry I'm talking about me, it's just that I'm giving a perspective here. Always believed that as little as a child is, I'm at least a year and above, if they go hungry for a meal, it's fine. They'll come back with an appetite. But I've seen most mothers get up in arms. मेरा बच्चा भूखा है अभी तो फ्राइम्स खिला दूं चिप्स खिला दूं मैगी खिला दूं कुछ खिला दूं बस. Can you just talk? Maybe I may be very aggressive in this conversation, but can you, because you manage an entire hospital, you know, natal ward to pregnant mothers to new mothers, can you talk around the logic of that? Because I know that there is.
So this is where you're tuning the child, and the child is not hungry more so because what he sees on the plate he doesn't like, and you're rewarding his you know, behavior of not liking a healthy food with unhealthy food. So for now, where he is not capable of getting the unhealthy food on his own, you're serving it to him on a platter, and then he grows and he knows that that option is always available. And you know, if the mother is strict like Pallavi, and then I don't know your husband, but maybe the father says, "Itna bhi strict mat ho, kuch to khila de, bachcha bhuka hai," especially if the child is lean. It's all right. Let the child be hungry. When the child is really hungry, the child will eat whatever is at home, and he will quite like to enjoy it over a period of time. We are too quick in rushing and making something different, which our parents never did for us. Of course, we were made vegetables that we enjoyed, but if along with that vegetable there was a dudi or a bengan, you were expected to finish it or you couldn't leave the table. Whether you liked it or not, you finish it. Today's, well, like, nahi, bengan hai, koi nahi khata hai, you know. So, aapne bhi nahi khai, and it just goes on. This is where you're teaching the child that it's okay not to like greens. It's okay to skip your greens. But if at the age of 1, you don't introduce him to all the junk and you insist that, and of course you'll have to eat it along with him, that's where the foundation is strong. That's where how did the child learn to make a face for Karela and Dudi? Someone taught him.
Mostly it's been us, right?
It's us. It's us. We're doing it. We need to enjoy it. We need to see the child seeing that they're quite liking this dish. What is this dish all about? Okay, not to.
Richard, can kids take a meal of abstinence? It's fine. If they don't eat a meal, it's fine, right?
So, if it's not a set, I mean, if it shouldn't be every second day. Skipping
no, just in a lark or in a tantrum, they don't want to eat a meal. It's fine if they don't eat one meal in a month or two, right?
They learn to respect the food.
They don't go emaciated or they don't go weak. I'm talking about urban Indians.
A regular Indian will not be emaciated for a week. Forget a meal. So once you
So,
eat, other than your heart feeling a little upset, nothing's going to go wrong with the child. Child is going to be absolutely fine. He'll even sleep on an empty
better.
stomach. Mother may not sleep, but the child will sleep peacefully.
That brings me to the point of what do you talk about? What do you say about eating earlier in the evening and then letting the stomach
So,
recuperate before?
uh, as Indians, supper is not really doable for us, and it's dinner is possibly the only meal where the family eats together. But taking it to 10:30, 11 is a tad too much. 7 is not doable for most. We will now accept that at least before 9, your dinner should be over and done with. So even if you sit down to eat at about 8:30, that's all right. Finish your meal by 9, assuming you will sleep by about 11ish. And if you're sleeping at 11ish, you can still have a late night fruit or a cup of milk. Because there are a lot of patients say that, we used to eat at 10:30 and now you've gotten us to eat at 8:30 and we are hungry again at 10:30 because that used to be our set pattern. Have a fruit, have a cup of milk. Those work. So just a half an hour gap of a bedtime snack, a healthy snack is all right. But sleeping, I mean, eating at 10, sleeping beyond midnight, and then snacking again, you're just spoiling the rhythm of the body. So keep a good 2 hour gap, and let's put the sleep time at around 11. So when I say 11, you're going to anyways push it a little beyond, but at least aim for an 11 so that even if you're delayed by an hour or so, it's all right.
Hmm.
The earlier you eat, so your body gets optimum rest, it rejuvenates during its sleep. If you're breaking that cycle, we want good hair and good skin and you're willing to spend on all the creams and all the food, nothing, just drink water and sleep on time. That's the costliest medication that you can buy for yourself, and costly because time and sleep is something people can't afford these days.
Absolutely, I can speak for myself here. Um, I know that you said it's very difficult in Indian scenario, but I think that's one of the good things of lockdown, if at all, over the last few years, that families have begun to sleep, if not sleep, at least eat earlier and have that one meal, maybe multiple meals together. But I think when we are all back to the life as it used to be pre-COVID, then yes, you're right. It'll have to be at least by 9:30, right?
Third, I just like to add one thing. Most office goers come home around 7:38. So they come home around 8ish. They want to have a cup of tea and snacks and unwind for a bit. And that's how dinner gets pushed. I tell most people, you get home at 8, wash your hands and sit down to eat. Eat your dal, roti and sabji and then unwind. Sit then at leisure, sit for an hour and a half, and that's good because you're hungry. Nothing is better than eating your home cooked food at that time instead of, eating some unhealthy snacks with a cup of tea. And then you're so full that you need to wait another an hour or two because you've killed your appetite to build an appetite for dinner. And so come home and eat first. You first eat and then you sit with your TV or your music or your book or whatever that you want to do. These are just simple things that we need to start doing. And no matter how long you've been doing it wrong, if you do it right for a week, so let's assume that I start that today, Wednesday, Thursday, Wednesday. By next Wednesday, it'll be a set pattern. And I will assume that I've been doing it for ages. नहीं हम 70 साल से ये कर रहे हैं. आप एक हफ्ता कीजिए. A week is all it takes to break a cycle and set a new pattern. If you survive,
then make a habit.
it becomes a habit and it comes very naturally then. So then on the 8th day, if your dinner is not ready, you will be all upset about, no, but I'm hungry. I want dinner. I don't want a snack. I don't want tea. So get started. Take the first step. The rest falls in place.
Richa, you were talking, initially the idea was to talk about some low carb snacks. Do you want to throw, maybe, of course, the recipes, maybe not enough, we won't have enough time to talk about those, but you want to throw a few easy ideas for people so that, if they're snacking on something, what could they do that on?
So yeah, we were planning to do the live show that the ones that come to my mind, my eternal favorite, I hope my husband and son are not listening right now, is most of us like mashed potatoes. Instead of mashed potatoes, give them mashed cauliflower,
Oh,
and they can't tell the you can't tell the difference.
I have lived on cauliflower, so I know.
So you can't. So if you serve it, especially in a restaurant, as your side dish, mashed cauliflower instead of mashed potatoes, it tastes practically the same. If you till I don't point it out, you won't realize it. And you don't have to use butter and cream. You can mix a little milk and just a dash of salt. With so normally would use about a spoon of butter. Here, just literally like a pinch. But mashed cauliflower does wonders, and you can give it to your child. So give him some veggies and something, and say you want that mashed potato. You finish this bowl of veggies first. He'll happily have that and eat cauliflower too.
That's a bonanza, huh? For any mom, double
So
vegetables.
cauliflower, you can do so much. You can just take your cauliflower, grate it well, really well, and when it's really fine, cook it like upma. Okay. How you make your regular upma with tomato and vegetables. So you make a cauliflower upma. So this is especially good for diabetics as an evening snack. So we normally say have carbs as breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But your mid-morning, your bedtime, and your evening snack should be more protein. So that should be more of egg whites and fish or chicken or, something like a chila or a dhokla or a chana. So which was the other? Hummus. So hummus is something that most people enjoy these days. It's nothing but boiled and red chana. And the good thing is that when you eat it at home, don't eat it with a pita bread. Put cucumber sticks, because you hummus so much that you don't mind what it goes on to. So if you give them pita, they will eat pita. If you give them carrot and cucumber sticks, they will eat it along with that. So that works just fine too. And we were talking about dessert. So we had as a part of our celebration, we had put out all these charts and actual food in the hospital to create awareness amongst people of Hawaii about what to eat. And we have this very specific chart about desserts. So we're saying don't say no, but pick wisely. So, you have a sugar craving, you want to control your calories, you've not walked for today, and there is this gulab jamun sitting over there. Don't take it. Have a chikki ka laddu. Those little til laddus or a peanut chikki. Or like I said earlier, your homemade kheer. For that matter, Bengali sweets are comparatively healthier because it's just paneer with a little sugar. Whereas most other sweets like a milk cake or a jalebi are deep fried. They either have maida or khoya, which is a powerhouse, and they look practically the same size. It's a chota sa to gulab jamun hai. The oil that goes into it. We spoke about hidden fats. 99% people will say flat no to samosas, to bhajiyas, but offer them some farsan. Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't take fried foods. Farsan is deep fried. Your croissant, your simple croissant that
it's laden in butter. It's folded in butter.
It's got more oil than a deep fried samosa. That is without adding additional butter to it. So these are all the hidden fats that we don't realize. And that's where and my favorite is where, people will be like, no doc, I can't eat dal, roti and sabji for lunch. That's too much. I just have a tiny sandwich. That tiny sandwich looks tiny, but it's got more calories than your 2 tiny fulkas, a katori of dal, 2 katoris of sabji and a curd, and no nutrients. So go back to your simple basics. Don't go to basics of pinnis and laddus, but go back to your dal, roti and sabji.
Go and then the methi ka laddu.
So those are the ones that we want you to look at and do, and not the other ones.
Perfect. I think this was really fun. Do you think we missed anything? Because I think this is what I wanted to speak to you about. And we've covered kids, we've covered older people, lifestyle, anything for geriatric, the older lot. I mean, our parents at home, diabetic, old senior citizens.
Yes, for senior citizens, the main issue that we have is with a lot of gastro issues, constipation being the most, because their food tends to shrink and bread and biscuits become easy access. Here you have to find ways of putting in more fiber. The 99% need to double their vegetable intake. So rotis should not be plain. There should always be a palak roti or a methi roti or a dal ki roti which has some tomato or onion. Inculcate the habit of having a soup. So even if you have leftover veggies, just churn them and dilute them and let it be a simple soup. Step up their vegetable intake, because it's difficult for them to eat. We have a lot of problem, and don't curtail their salt too much, because we are overcautious with them.
Electrolytes.
Leukemia is nothing but low sodium in the body, which, because they're overcautious, they're scared about eating, they cut down their salt too much. Let them eat normal salt. Don't give them any additional table salt. Don't give them very acidic or heavy food. And then they confuse between, heartburn and heart pain, and you need to come for the wrong reasons. So, and exercise. Let's start now and keep walking till we are 100 plus. And that's the best thing we can do to ourselves.
I was going to ask you that. Any message? And you already said it.
Set a pattern and follow it diligently. Don't walk for 2 hours once a week. Walk for 20 minutes every day till it becomes a 40-minute daily walk or something. Most importantly, set a pattern and then stick to it.
Very, very helpful. Richa, thank you so much. This was fun. Like, we can go on forever, but I think this was very, very helpful. And we're going to do a follow-up very soon. I think it'll be a good time to do some of those recipes you wanted to do as well. So maybe that soon. Thank you so much. And thanks for coming on this show. And thanks for taking care of so many questions. And this was fun.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. Thanks everyone for tuning in. And we hope this was fun for you as well.